Good afternoon, Charumbira.
Good afternoon, Rekoroba. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you? And welcome to Radio Mohoditani.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be interviewed by this new radio.
Yes, more especially because for many years you were a resident of Mohoditani.
That's correct. Yes.
So you saw all the developments and the changes from the
I
old
saw the
Mohodi.
development. I was one of the first occupants of the new houses in those early 90s. When Mogodishana was still a very small village.
Indeed, indeed.
Now I'm told it's the largest village in Botswana.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, Charumbira, you are a renowned statistician.
That's my profession. Yes, correct.
Actually, that's your life.
That's my line. Yes.
You lived, breathed, and slept statistics.
That's right.
It would be nice of you to break down to the ordinary man on the street what statistics is and what is it about.
Uh, what a difficult question. Yes, statistics is really one of those subjects that we can say it's applied mathematics.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically it involves counting almost everything that can be counted.
Yeah.
And it's an old profession, although it has never been recognized as such. Old in the sense that, the main issue that is known for is really counting people, enumerating people, population censuses, and that's the most important aspect of statistics. Otherwise, in statistics, we count almost everything. Animals, cattle, goats, and businesses, what people do, and all those things. That's, in brief, what statistics is all about. It's not easy to explain to an ordinary man, It's not a very common subject, it's not very well known. Although I'm told now it's part of the syllabus in secondary schools, which is very good.
Yes.
So those who are doing some mathematics know what statistics is all about.
Yes, and it's very broad.
It's very, very broad because it covers all aspects of human endeavor.
Health, education, food consumption, you name it.
That's right.
Yeah. But Charumbira, probably you could give us a brief background of who's guest Charumbira, where were you born? I know you're from Zimbabwe. When did you come to Botswana? How did you come to Botswana? And
yes, briefly, yes. My name is Guest Charumbira. The other name is Musaimura. Two names. Charumbira is the same. Musaimura is the name that I was given by my grandfather. That was his name. Guest is the one I was given by my parents. I was born in Southern Rhodesia, as it was then called.
Yeah.
Way back in 1949.
Yeah.
And then I came into then Bechuanaland when I was only 2 years old, 1951.
2 years old?
Yes. My parents were very adventurous. My father was an agricultural demonstrator. He left a better paying job in Southern Rhodesia then to come to the Bechuanaland Protectorate. And he got a job in Muhobani in the Southeast District under the Ministry of Agriculture. It was then, of course, the colonial government when Botswana was still called the Bechuanaland Protectorate.
Yeah.
So that's when I first came into this country as a kid.
Yeah.
What? And then besides that, I grew up in Rhodesia, or southern Rhodesia, so to say. Well, there were not very many schools here. While my parents were working here, they left me with relatives in southern Rhodesia to go to school. So I was really staying with relatives, foster parents, if you like.
Yeah.
First of all, with my mother's elder sister, and then eventually with my grandmother. All the time my parents were across here, but from time to time during school holidays, I would cross over, coming by train to come in during holidays to visit my parents here.
Yeah.
But basically, I went to school from primary to secondary, all levels, in then southern Rhodesia. Eventually, Rhodesia, when Zambia and Malawi became independent, and then 1964 and 66, and then southern Rhodesia became just Rhodesia.
Mm-hmm.
I completed my O levels in 1968. I did, in Zimbabwe, Rhodesia, then there was from O level you would go to A levels. Unfortunately, I didn't qualify to go to A levels. So I just got my school certificate. A good second class, I should say. I should say it's a good second class because I had very good results in mathematics.
Yeah.
Mathematics and additional mathematics. And my parents were still here, so I crossed over from Rhodesia then to come into, it was now Botswana.
Yeah.
When I crossed over in 1969. My intention was really to come and while away time while trying to get some way of furthering my education through the United Nations system. The United Nations was trying to help Rhodesians then to prepare them for a future Zimbabwe. But while I was trying my luck to get places abroad, I got a temporary job in the then called Central Statistics Office, which is now called Statistics Botswana. That was in 1970. I joined that department as an enumerator. I was looking for a job, so I got a job as an enumerator. In statistics, the enumerator position is the lowest position. You go around interviewing people, trying to find out exactly what they are doing in their lives, in agriculture. I joined the agricultural statistics unit in 1970 for about 3 months. Then the head office, then the Central Statistics Office, they spotted me, said, as I said earlier, my mathematics results were not very bad. So they encouraged me to join the Central Statistics Office. The Central Statistics Office itself was a very small department at the time.
Yeah.
It was formed around 1967 through the Statistics Act of 1967.
Yeah.
There were only a handful of people in that department. It was a very small department. So I was one of the clerks, so to say. At the time, I was still a Rhodesian, and I was still trying to get to further education somehow through the United Nations. And I got a place for training, statistical training in East Africa, in Dar es Salaam.
Yeah.
What they called then middle-level diploma in statistics. Okay. They said that since you are already working for a statistics department, would you like to go to Dar es Salaam? And I gladly accepted. At the same time, I was also being encouraged to take citizenship in Botswana. Well, I didn't resist. since I had been coming in and out of Bechuanaland and then Botswana for many years, I was granted citizenship in 1971, November 1971.
Yeah.
And then in 1972, I went over to Dar es Salaam for my first training in statistics. That's the mid-level diploma in statistics. That was now my first exposure, to the statistical system proper.
Yeah.
What could have
encouraged your parents to come to Botswana and leave a good paying job in Rhodesia?
I must say my father was very I don't know what way to say.
Adventurous, yeah.
Yeah, he left a better paying job in Rhodesia then. There was an advert, in this British government. Britain was, ruling all these countries. So he saw an advert of a job in Bechuana and Potato. He just got excited and applied, and he was taken. So he came to work for the Minister of Agriculture in Bechuana in 1951. So, he was, I must say, he was very, very adventurous, because at the time, Rhodesia was far much more developed in almost everything than Bechuana.
Yeah.
That's how we ended up here.
Did he retire back home?
He was in this country for about 23 years. And he went back to Rhodesia in 1974.
Okay.
Yeah, he was being encouraged to take up citizenship in Botswana, but he was not interested. He declined.
Yeah.
Whatever, he's late now. He could explain himself why he resisted.
Yeah.
But all I can say, he went back in 1974.
Yeah.
But he encouraged me to stay back. Yes, he said, no, stay. Botswana has got a brighter future than Rhodesia. Stay back here. And I agree.
Okay.
That's why I'm still here.
And I'm sure you don't regret that, looking how now Zimbabwe turned out to be.
I don't regret at all. I don't even know what inspired him to say, Botswana was going to be better in the long term. He had foresight, I think.
Yeah.
For him, having worked for the British government initially and then for Botswana government up to 1974, I think he had the advantage of having seen what was going on in Rhodesia at the time. And then I think he really assessed what was going on in Botswana, and he realized the Botswana government then, the politicians here, meant what they were saying. So you could see a far much brighter future, in Botswana than in Rhodesia then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the political stability, obviously.
And political stability at the time, yes.
Yeah.
Even up to now, I think.
Yes.
Same thing.
Yes. Now let's go back to our main topic, which is statistics.
Yes.
So
following my 10-month study in Dar es Salaam, I came back to it was now sort of part of in-service training. Then instead of at the time that statistical training center in Dar es Salaam was part of a system that had been put up by the United Nations. From Dar es Salaam, one would go to Makerere in Uganda for applied statistics and economics. Fortunately or unfortunately, Botswana, Lesotho, and Swaziland decided to develop their own statistical training systems. So instead of going back to Makerere to continue with my studies, I went into the diploma in statistics in Lesotho. up to 1976, or 75 or 70, somewhere thereabout.
All right.
Unfortunately, well, if I got the dates wrong, it's 75 or 76.
Yeah.
It was then called the University of Botswana, Lesotho, and Swaziland.
UBLS.
UBLS, yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah.
And, well, tragically, there was this gentleman called Leaboa Jonathan who decided to nationalize the Lesotho campus of the UBLS.
I remember that saga very well.
Yes, and then the three countries then broke up, they each forming their own university. So we were withdrawn by the Botswana government from Lesotho, and so were the people from Swaziland as well. So we had to come back to Botswana. And the statistical department at the University of Botswana was also formed, and we were part of the few people that started the statistical training in Botswana, under the University of Botswana. I completed my diploma in statistics in 1976. Because my results were fairly impressive, I was recommended to do an additional year to obtain a degree in economics and statistics. So in 1977, I graduated with a degree in economics and statistics from the University of Botswana in Swaziland.
Yeah.
And all the time I was getting on and off, released from work to go for studies. And then during holidays, go back to the Central Statistics Office to work. So it was a really interesting way of development. So I was combining practical issues with theory. You go to university to learn the statistical theory, and you go back to work at the statistical office. You apply what we have been reading in books. So I can say I was very, very lucky to be trained at the same time as working. In 1983, I was encouraged to go do further studies to get my master's degree. So I was sponsored by the British government to go and do a master's degree in statistics. And this was in the west of Southampton in the United Kingdom. So I was in the UK from 1983 to 1985. Upon my completion in 1985, I came back to work. And 3 years down the line, 2 or 3 years down the line, I was lucky to be promoted to head the department. At the time, the head of department of the Central Statistics Office, as it was called then, was called government statistician. So I became the head of the department of the Central Statistics Office in February 1988. The title was government statistician. Shall I pause for a while?
No, continue. So you became government statistician until which year?
I became government statistician, head of department, until 2002. Altogether, I headed that department for 14 years, 14 good years, which was far much longer than anybody else who had been heading that department before me. I don't know whether that was fortunate or unfortunate. Most of them were being promoted to other departments, mostly to customs, But I stayed. I was not really interested in diverting from statistics. I found it a very, very interesting subject. So I stayed on. I didn't even try to get a promotion outward. And I must say, one of the most challenging issues when I was head of department was to coordinate two censuses of population and housing. The first I coordinated was in 1991. The census of population and housing in 1991. And then the next one, as you may know, the census of population is usually carried out once in every 10 years.
Yes, yes.
So I was compelled, obviously, to compare myself with myself. I coordinated the following census again in the year 2001. And I must be quick to mention here that the census is a fairly elaborate exercise. In most of the developing countries, and particularly in Africa, censuses then were carried out with the assistance of the United Nations system. This what we call the United Nations Population Fund, which always assisted the developing countries carry out their censuses. But during my time, I started to develop the department, and my interest was to make the department self-reliant and run away from being assisted by. So the 1991 census, we were assisted by the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA.
Yeah.
But in between the 10 years, we trained as many people as possible. I wanted to make sure that the next census, the 2001 census, would be carried out by locals.
Yes.
And I must say, we succeeded in doing that. And we are the only, I think we are the only country in Africa that carried out a census without external assistance.
You mean even South Africa did get external assistance?
Yes, definitely. You can, South Africa only managed to start developing their following the end of apartheid. You see, their statistical system was robust as other African countries. So they were actually copying a few things from us, although we are a small country.
Yeah.
They did copy a few things from us. Botswana is a small country population-wise, but it's a very big country. So, carrying out a census in this country is a very complex exercise because the population is very scattered.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can drive for 50 kilometers out in the desert there for looking for one household. In a census, you have to count everybody.
It's important.
Everybody is important. So I must say, in Southern Africa or in Central and Southern Africa, Botswana is Namibia are the two countries that have a very, very expensive census exercise.
But tell me, Charumbira,
Yes,
why would we be bothered to travel 50 kilometers for only one household?
It is important because the census it's a technical term. Must count everybody.
Yes, Charumbira, we were still talking about why should we bother about a few households? I mean, what if we leave out a few 5,000 out of a population of 2 million? What's wrong with leaving out 5,000 people who are scattered in the middle of nowhere?
Oh no, that's not allowed. Then it's no longer a census. So once you do that, it's no longer a census.
Yes, it is no longer a census, but what is its relevance or importance to statistics then?
Oh, because we want to know their characteristics. What kind of people are there? Are those that stay alone in the bush or in the jungles there? What are they doing?
How are they surviving?
Oh, they're surviving.
What amenities do they need?
Exactly. Yeah. So they are important in their own right.
Okay.
Why did they choose to go there?
Yeah.
And I must be quick to point out, and some of those people who are scattered, all over those are the people who own, in this country particularly, lots and lots of cattle. Cattle owners are not found along the eastern side of the country because the grazing is already, you know, overdone. So the better grazing is out there, away from the line of rail, away from the eastern corridor,
where there's nobody.
where there's nobody. So they actually have all the good pastures there.
To themselves.
Yes, and we must remember also that when after every census, then you carry out other, studies, or surveys, we may like to say.
Yeah.
For example, we want to carry out an agricultural census or agricultural survey.
Yeah.
Then agriculture becomes important because those single households which are scattered all over the place are the ones that actually have a lot of big cattle and goats and all those things. You wouldn't know those things until, unless if you had visited them and counted them.
Yes, yes.
And found exactly what are they doing. In summary, you have to find out what they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's the only way to get that information.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Charumbira, for many years you've been with the statistics department, or should I call it?
Yes.
And you've been carrying out statistics in its broad spectrum.
Yes, sir.
And we are still yet to be food sustainable in this country.
Food sustainable, is it?
Yes, self-sustainable in terms of producing food.
Yes.
And we are not.
Correct.
Now, has what you have been doing at the statistics office benefited us? Why? Why hasn't it benefited us? Because we are still not self-sufficient in terms of food supply.
Well, the duty of a statistician is to collect the figures and pass them on to whoever wants to use them. So really, you collect the figures, and those who use them, you have to use them and see what to do to improve the lot. So if they are not interested in using those figures, then there's not much you can do about it. Our job is done, but we have to encourage them to use it, and we have to, publicize this information. But one weakness of this, is that some people may not even be aware that these figures exist. So sometimes the statisticians are weak at marketing themselves, marketing their products.
Yeah.
So I can't blame policymakers, right? Completely. Statisticians also have a duty to publicize, then make sure people the users know the importance of this figure. That's one major weakness in many countries. There is not serious marketing of the product. Yeah.
We have seen over the years, especially in the urban areas and the peri-urban areas. I'll give Mohoditane as an example because that's where
you stay.
Yes. In the last few years, we've seen a lot of overcrowding in schools. Sometimes even threats of turning, new entry students or pupils into schools back because the school can't accommodate that number.
Yes.
I'm sure in statistics, what you do, as much as you gather information on the census, you also do the population projections, population growth projections.
Correct.
Yes. How did we arrive here whereby now we find our schools not able to admit the population that is growing in these particular areas?
Again, then we pass it on to the people who are responsible for the planning systems.
Yeah.
Are they looking at these figures? Are they aware that these figures exist? During my time, I actually realized that not many of our economists and planners were aware that the figures are just from next door. And statistics then was a department of the Ministry of Finance, where planning was also
Done.
falling under.
Mm.
But they were not aware. But it's because our marketing was not very thorough. Some people actually believe that these figures come from the World Bank and the IMF. You know, honestly, I don't know now, but at the time we were not very. We realized too late that our marketing was not very thorough to make sure that as many people are aware of what is available in terms of these figures for planning.
Would you then suggest that the statistics department really needs a vigorous marketing department?
Definitely, definitely. I don't know now, but I think some 10 years ago, I think they were going along those lines.
Yeah.
I don't know what statistics Botswana is currently doing. I'm staying out here in the bush, and I'm not sure. I can't vouch for them.
Mm.
But maybe it's a topic for another day. You can actually try to find out exactly what they're doing. But over the past few years, following each census, uh, we would organize what we call a dissemination conference,
Yeah.
where we would call upon all users, particularly user ministries, to a big conference to tell them what has been found out in the census. Even other surveys like agricultural statistics and all those things, to try to market, to try to tell them what is available. But again, sometimes as they say in English, you can take the horse to the river, but you may not necessarily want to drink that water anyway. So you never know whether the users of these statistics are able to utilize them in a proper fashion. That's another issue. You may market, yes, but is your audience good enough at listening? Is your audience good enough at using these figures? It's another issue.
Yeah.
So probably that's a subject for another day to follow up and see exactly what's going on between the producers and the users of statistics. That's one major. In many of our developing countries, that's one of the major links that is missing.
Well, let's assume, as an ordinary man on the street,
Yes.
I haven't seen anything to convince me that the statistics department is in actual fact marketing itself, like you suggest. Let's
It's
let's
very
let's
yes.
hypothetically assume that they're not doing that.
I wouldn't disagree with you.
Yes.
And again, some people, when they look at these figures, actually, even if they're in newspapers, they will just say, "Oh, what is all this?
Mm.
This is just rubbish." They are talking. Sometimes, like I said, they are talking to themselves.
Yeah.
You know, uh, during my time, when we were going for a census, we tried as much as possible to try to market even beforehand, before the counting. We were preparing leaflets giving to school children of simple figures, in each area, the population of the village,
Mm.
its characteristics, so that they could go and give their parents in very simple terms.
Mm.
So it depends. When you are marketing yourself, you should not be too technical.
Mm.
You should try as much as possible to reach the very common man,
Yeah.
to make sure that they understand exactly how useful this information is.
Mm.
Users of figures vary, you know. The more educated know better what the figures mean.
Yeah.
A village headman when you ask him even how many cattle do you have and all those things, he may even say, why bother me? What do you do with those figures? They actually ask you some of those questions. Why do you want to know how many cattle I have?
Yeah.
Are you going to me feed these cattle? They will ask you questions like that. So these are the issues that, a statistics department should really put effort in to try to, market, to reach all those users, including the small men, if I can say the small men in the street. How is it important?
Yeah.
For example, if we can talk about marriage statistics and all those things, marriage and divorces these days it's a topical issue.
Yes.
How many people are aware that there are so many divorces going on in this country?
Yes.
How many people are divorced? How many people are still married? These figures are all there in the statistics. And they are never disseminated in an appropriate manner to make them useful to society. To try to study further, for example, if we are talking about divorce, why are people separating?
Yes.
So a statistics department should have really a very, very elaborate marketing department that goes down to earth, trying to make these figures useful, trying to make these figures being used. Otherwise, it's a waste of resources if we are going to just to, give technical reports that are only used by the planners that have gone to school, that know economics and all those things, where are living other people who are just using them, for their own everyday life.
Yeah.
See, statistics should be used by the common man and the most sophisticated men, so to say. It's not easy.
Now,
it's not easy.
Mr. Charumbira.
Yes, sir.
Some of the statistical information can be very dire to a ruling government. For instance, the unemployment statistics. Sometimes there is this belief that or suspicion that the government tampers with the figures or the information, to save its face. Has there been in your career, and it's safe to say that you were not working under this new government, so you can be free to disclose whether there has been any attempts to interfere with what you release to the public, especially on this one of unemployment.
Not unemployment alone, poverty.
Yes.
let me say, in many countries, figures that reveal the bad side of the population, poverty and unemployment, they are not very popular with the ruling class.
Yes.
The politicians.
Yeah.
But that's no exception.
Yeah.
During the years, they were not very much aware of what was going on. During my time, I may just take this opportunity to enlighten what went on at the time. There's a politician who was very vocal. He's late now, my Charumbira Dabuta.
Yeah.
He was very forceful in parliament. That you were publishing on poverty and unemployment. And they believed that he was making up this because they were asking, where do you get this information from? And he would retort, he said, you don't read. From next door, from statistics.
Yeah.
So the more they realized you were publishing some of these things, then I became very unpopular with the ruling class. I must say, actually, during the later part of my career, I was getting a bit frustrated because at some point, some believed I was working for the Botswana National Front. because Mr. Dabuta was BNF.
Yeah.
So they were not aware this was public information.
Yes.
They thought
that is how ignorant our politicians were then.
Exactly.
They probably are now, but let's not talk about the now. Let's talk about the then, that they were ignorant.
That's what I'm talking about, because I left the place 23 years ago now.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's at some point towards the end of my association with government, I was actually being threatened, I almost lost my job, for publishing some of the
Now, if you nearly lost your job, what did they want you to do?
At some point, I must say, the economists in the Ministry of Finance, some of them believed we were lying. It was not the truth. You see, it was not easy to convince people in authority that though Botswana was doing very well in terms of indicators like GDP per capita and the like, and those nice figures. So it was not very easy to convince them that at the same time there were two very, very huge pockets of poverty elsewhere, particularly in areas in the hinterland, off the line of rail, And you read in papers these days, actually, the situation hasn't improved at all. There is still rampant poverty in the country. So during the latter part of my career, I was really getting under pressure for publishing some of those unnice figures, I must say. Bad, they called them bad figures. And at the time, there were some, within the Ministry of Finance who were actually telling the authorities that the statisticians were lying. They were actually saying so, that Charumbira is lying. There's no poverty in Botswana. Oh, yes. So, and some people, when I actually left my job in 2002, I still have a copy of that paper, the newspaper, which said I was pushed out of government.
Were you?
Well, as far as I know, I was. But I knew that there were some people who no longer wanted me to publish certain things. So let me say, I decided to leave at the right time. Before, let me be frank with you. In many countries, people have lost, job. Their job. A chief statistician would be forced out.
Because he's expected to lie.
Because it's either you are expected to lie or you are expected not to publish anything. Keep quiet. Let me give you an example. When the situation in Zimbabwe was getting to where it is getting now, the chief statistician there, we were used to each other in the sub-region. It was through the SADC Statistics Committee. He used to say he was being told not to publish some of the inflation figures because they were not very good for the ruling government. So eventually, in some actually you lose your job. But for me, I left before I was pushed. But I realized the longer I stayed, probably I would be pushed. But at the time, still be pushed out. But I can say to you, I was not pushed out. I wrote a letter of retirement. I took early retirement, and it was accepted. 3 months notice. I left nicely. And fortunately for me, less than 2 months after I left my job, I got an attachment with the African Development Bank to assist in the sub-region. And eventually I got another, I did that for 6 months. Eventually I got attached with the United Nations system, and I was posted to Tanzania to advise the statistical office of the island of Zanzibar, Tanzania. There's an advisor there. I was fairly lucky, because they knew I was not a very big statistician during my days with the Botswana government.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we can maybe say your honesty or your ethical diligence also saved your skin for the African Bank and the United Nations to recognize you.
Yes, they knew, and many users knew Botswana at the time had probably I'm using the word probably, because they were telling us Botswana had the best statistical system then.
Mm-hmm.
Like an example, there is what we call the Conference of Commonwealth Statisticians, which comes every 5 years.
Yeah.
And we had one conference in 1995 in New Zealand, down under. And the Australian statistician at the time said, the next conference, we want to come to Botswana. The next conference was supposed to be the year 2000.
Yeah.
They said to me, we want to come to Botswana because it appears Botswana is doing so well in statistics when other countries are not doing so well. We just want to come and see Botswana for that reason.
Yes.
When I came back from that conference, I approached government. I said, no, I'm being asked to host here the Conference of Commonwealth Statisticians in the year 2000. And the government agreed.
Mm.
And so the Conference of Commonwealth Statisticians in the year 2000 for people to come and discuss their statistical issues here.
Yes.
It's because we were recognized as such, as a good statistical office. I must say, in terms of census processing, in the 2001 census was done in record time. We had the results in record time. The South African, our neighbors in South Africa were not very impressed, because they were telling me we were going to put them in trouble with their government if their results were going to be late. But us, we had trained people, we had trained ourselves, to try to be as efficient as possible. You see, if you publish these figures too late, they become useless.
Yeah.
So we're trying to be as prompt as possible.
Yeah.
I must say, I'm now praising myself here. The 2001 census was probably one of the best executed censuses in the history of Botswana.
Now, Re Charumbira, we have an education crisis and a health crisis. How would you attribute the effect of statistics or lack of statistics on these challenges that we are now facing?
There are so many issues surrounding these problems. The easiest one to explain probably is the health crisis, because you see, it's not easy to plan for medication if you don't know how many people are reporting to your health facilities with complaints A, B, C, D. I don't know whether the administrative figures on health are lacking, or they are not up to date, or whatever. I'm not so sure. And another issue here is the implosion of foreign populations into this country. Some people come here undocumented, and they are definitely putting pressure on the health system and the education system. These are hidden phenomena. They are very difficult. How do you know how many people are in the country if they are not crossing the borders, at gazetted points? So they are really putting a strain on the resources. Yes. That's a very, very. It's very easy for anybody to, if you get sick, whether you are foreign or a local, you have to report to a medical facility. But if the population is exploded just because of in-migration, you are definitely bound to have a problem. It exerts pressure on the resources. That's the simplest way I can explain it. It's not difficult.
A couple of months back, the current president suggested that Zimbabweans should use Umang to come into Botswana or identity cards.
Yes.
And prior to that, Ramasisi suggested that Namibia and Botswana should use identity cards. Namibia and Zimbabwe should use identity cards to come to Botswana and vice versa.
Yes.
Statistically, should that see the light of day, what would possibly be the impact on our economy, education, the health system, and the like?
My opinion, my considered opinion, is that it is better to know how many people are coming into the country than to guess. If they are crossing the fences without being recorded, you will never know how to plan for the amenities here. So if they are crossing using IDs across the border, at least at any one point in time, we have some rough idea of how many people are within the country.
Yeah.
That's the simple explanation I believe myself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you restrict them, they'll come anyway. Let's use the example of Mexico and the USA.
Yes.
Donald Trump tried to build a wall, but it didn't work. They'll still come in anyway. Human beings, you may stop human beings from doing certain things, but they will do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Between you and me, I think even your listeners know that immigration now usually deporting people. They carry them in big buses or in big lorries to the plum tree there. And they are back in the country before the lorry comes back to wherever they pick them up from. It's a fact. So it's better you will know how many people are within your system than to be planning in ignorance. Because if you don't know, if you don't let them in through the proper channel, they'll come anyway. You can't stop them.
But
then you can't shoot them like animals. But so they'll come anyway.
But then if you have a health budget, for instance, which is done annually, and yes, you do let people come through gazetted places, and then there's this population implosion in that 1 year. How and you have already made a budget for that year. How are you going to deal with the events that come with that implosion?
You see, it is better to know than not to know.
Yeah.
Because really, I'm telling you a simple fact. At the point, as we are talking right now, nobody has got any idea how many foreigners are in this country. If you take I remember when we attended the population dissemination conference on last census, when I looked at the number of foreigners compared with the 10 years previously, it was a very, very small increase. I said to the authorities, the statistical authorities, this is an undercount. Because you see, you don't have to have studied the statistics to a PhD level to know that if country A is mismanaging an economy, the people will run to country B, where there's food.
Yes.
So in our example, the situation in Zimbabwe, I'm sorry to say, has not improved over the past 20 years. So there's no way you can stop them from either crossing into Zambia or to Botswana or to South Africa to look for a living. So as long as the economy of Botswana is still, flourishing as it is, it will attract foreigners.
Yeah.
And a very good example of why they will have to cross the fences instead of coming through the gazetted points. Passports are very expensive in Zimbabwe. The very people who are trying to look for a better living can't even afford that passport anyways. So, but they are going hungry. They will want to come into Botswana because they know they can find something to eat.
Yes, a means of living.
The means of living.
Yes.
So, I agree entirely. You see, even if you say let them use the IDs, a person can't just walk into a country if they don't know someone who can actually give them accommodation. They won't flood this place, just like that.
Yeah.
They can't come and stay on top of trees.
Or in the culverts.
No, we have to be realistic here. So to put it in a very, very straightforward manner, it's better to know what numbers you are dealing with. No. That's my opinion. I stand to be corrected. I think it's better to know. If you don't know, you can't plan. That is, if you go education-wise, I can also quote, the misuse of resources. When we're going around traveling in this country, preparing for censuses and all these things, you would come across some school in the middle of nowhere where there were no people at all. You wonder how it was built. Some politicians were very forceful. They will argue for a school in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So there are so many problems associated with lack of statistical information. It's better.
Yeah.
It's better to have information than not to have it.
Charumbira, can you hold on? I'll come back from the other side.
No problem.
All right. Charumbira.
Sir.
One of the things that we see is that we have a lot of graduates.
Yes.
Mostly qualified for white-collar jobs.
Including 2 of my children.
2 of your children, indeed.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of artisans around, mechanics, auto electricians, carpenters, bricklayers, you name it. And 90% of them are Zimbabwean origin. So we as Botswana, we find ourselves in a position whereby we skilled our children in careers that will not provide a living for them. Where was the statistics office when all this happened? Why did we end up here whereby we have people qualified in qualifications that the job market does not desire?
It comes back to the same issue that whoever is doing the planning may not know exactly what is needed out there. So it's a two-way interaction, the planner and the statistician.
Yeah.
It's not easy to explain. I don't know. When I look back, I don't know. I haven't read the current plan, NGP 12.
Yes.
But some of our earlier plans, if you can go through them, they are still available there. Yeah. You would find very little use of figures in those plans. It was just descriptive. You want to do ABCD without laying down exactly what is the background, what is the background of all the people we have currently.
Yes.
What is the need for the future.
Yeah.
And again, probably the statisticians at the time, us included, were not able to articulate correctly the need of the users out there.
Yes.
what kind of professions are required.
Yes.
So it's not, it doesn't fit into a simple explanation. It's very difficult to explain.
Yes. But I want to believe that statistics should be the bedrock of that trajectory.
Yes, statistics. Let us go back to even the Bible. When you couldn't go to war if you didn't know how many men able-bodied men would go to war. They had to. That's where statistics came from.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
You go into the Bible, they would count people. How many people? How many soldiers can we raise?
Yes.
Go back to the UK. The statistical office, what they call it Central Statistical Office, was formed after the Second World War. Central Statistical Office 1945, when they realized, lack of knowledge of what your population structure is like, leads you into all sorts of problems because you don't know. If you don't know, it goes back to what we're discussing about the pressure on the education and health systems. If you have no information, you can't plan. So it's a question of really statisticians, when they go out to count anything, they must first of all consult their major users, what kind of information they are looking for.
Yeah.
That is usually what should be done. You don't just go out and count cattle of people and whatever you're trying to count without finding out what your users want to know. I don't know what they are doing these days, but throughout my career, every time we were trying to carry out a census or a major survey, we would send out an inquiry to our major users, private sector and government departments. What do you want to know?
Yeah.
And then they give us, a list of their requirements. Yeah. And of course, we rank them. You can't count everything that is wanted by everybody because it also costs money. Once you have got, the requirements from the users, then you sit down and design your questionnaires and then try to. Actually, you call meetings so you can, have a round table discussion with all these major people to say, what do we need to know before you go out counting? You don't count for the sake of counting.
Yeah.
You count because people want to know A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
So I don't know if honestly, I'm not following current development. As I said to you earlier, it's now 23 years since I left the system here. I've been working in other countries, though. What's going on in Botswana, I'm not sure exactly. I can elaborate on what they're doing right now. But you must talk to your users before you start to count whatever you want to count.
Yes.
So that you meet their requirements.
Yes.
Otherwise, if you don't do that, you are talking to yourself. You are wasting resources. Yeah. So tell the statisticians not to talk to themselves. Tell the statisticians to involve everybody. So they should be able to help plan properly.
But the challenge we are having now, definitely, even though you retired 23 years ago, but it's something that should have been projected back then. Now, what I want to know is that, of course, what you executed was what you were asked to execute or do.
Yeah.
So during your time in that office, is this something that you dealt with in terms of our population is so much, our population growth projection is this much, and we have so many lawyers, so many doctors, engineers, plumbers, mechanics. Is that information that you collected?
Yes, all those things were there. They were published.
Yeah.
And even to the smallest area, we had a publication called small area statistics, to show you exactly what is available in, in Disani or in Pepe or wherever.
Yes.
That is the most important thing to do, not just totals.
And from your statistics office, you will be able to project what the job market would require in the future, in the next, like, maybe 10 years, maybe 15, 20 years. Obviously, we must work on such projections as a government of 5, 10.
Definitely, because then following each census, the statistics office does provide projections of the likely structure of the population, in this location in the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yes.
But then you see, the duty of the statistics office thereafter is to come back every 10 years and say, are our projections correct? You see, because projections become, outdated because of certain development.
Yes.
For example, if you count people today and they are in point A, and then a certain development happens in point B, people move because they are following whatever is going to take place in point B.
Yeah, but this one's of skill development, really. People moving from one point to another is neither here nor there, because if we were talking of migration, actually, it would be a different story. But the people still remain in Botswana, so we do know how many particular skills people we can project in the next 5 to 10 years. So we do know that if we don't have enough vocational training colleges, it is time that we start preparing to build vocational colleges, which we haven't done.
Yes. It's another year and a day, because probably I can try to run away from the question and go back to Ray Patrick Van Zinsberg. Population which what?
With development or something like that. Yeah.
That's something like that. Training people as they go to school, training for the market, for the jobs.
Yes.
Not just theoretical training.
Yes.
Education with production. That's what
with production.
Yeah,
with production.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is the issue. It's not for the statisticians, it's for the planners. Van Rysbeck was, arguing for education with production. This is why Zimbabweans are all over the place, because if you look at the Zimbabwean or the Brazilian education system then, it was based on that education with production.
Yeah.
Not just, counting, mathematics and English and all those things. Yeah. You would go into bricklaying and agriculture and all those things. There are not very many schools in Botswana that do those things.
I don't even know one, actually.
What brigades at the time were doing it, I don't know now.
At the time, not now.
Not now.
Our government then did away with those.
Exactly.
Bomadiba Brigade, for instance.
That's right. This is go back to your question earlier, your observation earlier when we said there are so many Zimbabweans here, because the Zimbabwean education system is well geared for the market.
Yes, education is production.
That's why people are being displaced here in Botswana, because there are people who can do a better job because they've been taught this.
Yeah.
But here now we are touching on politics, but probably I shouldn't be afraid to touch on politics, because this is the whole essence of discussing these issues.
Exactly. You can't disassociate from politics in any topic or any subject.
We can't run away from politics, because politics is a way of life.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So really there is a need in this country for the education planners and health planners and all those things to re-engineer the way forward for the future.
Yes, it's important.
It's pathetic, when you look at, I was reading in one newspaper, there are so many thousands of graduates who are walking the streets in this country. Such a small population.
Yeah.
Again, you wonder whether the 2.5 million we are being told is also correct. It's another issue.
A fraction of what Zimbabwe has.
You see, so it's not again. You see, when this is where it comes into question. When you start to quote these figures, are they correct? Let me give you an example. When the statistics office competes with administrators, administrative data as well. You see, whatever you are doing as a government department or whoever, they are already producing information.
Yeah.
We used to, argue with the Ministry of Agriculture because they were also collecting information on number of livestock in certain places and all these places. They compare them with the statistical office where they are using sample surveys.
Yeah.
And those figures were never matching. Then came a time when in Gamiland, I think it was in the year 2001 or something, 2000, when they had to kill all the cattle.
Yeah, I remember the
because of the cattle lung disease.
Yeah, yeah.
When we eventually compared the number of cattle that were killed because of that disease, it almost matched the figures that were being produced by the statistical office.
Yeah.
And
contradicted that of
that of the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yeah.
This is where it's important as statisticians and administrators should be able to cross-check each other. Censuses and surveys are supposed to compare and contrast administrative data sources.
Yeah. You
see, this is where now figures become a real issue. In some cases, I'll give you a rude examples. People will tell you that farmers have planted 10,000 hectares, of maize. That's because the Department of Crop Production wants to be seen to be doing a good job. And you go and measure the number of hectares in that particular place, you find that probably the number of hectares planted is even bigger than the area of that. Oh yes, there are very, very many examples that you can quote.
Yeah.
Where these figures contract each other, and then you realize, we're in big trouble. It creates abuse of resources because you don't know what you are doing with your money because you are into the wrong place because you are being given the wrong figure. So this is where the statisticians and the administrators have to work very, very closely together to make sure that whatever they are feeding, whoever they are feeding the information makes sense.
Yes.
It's a very, very big problem. It happens in many countries.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And those figures will always be at variance with each other.
Yes.
What do you do?
Yes.
Who is right? Who is wrong? But at the end of the day, resources are being wasted. I remember also I can give you another example. In Zimbabwe, in around the late 90s, I think, the board, Bamba harvest. They were saying the grain silos are full. The following year was a drought.
Yeah.
They said, okay, give us the reserves from your grain silos. There was nothing in it. They were empty. Oh yeah, they were empty. It's because corruption. People are being given money for having produced 10 tons of maize when you only sent 1 ton of maize.
Yeah.
So we've got so many tons of maize in the silos when there's literally zero in there. These are real examples.
Yeah.
I like to quote these examples because it makes sense. If I go further afield in Kenya, in one census, I can quote people who are dead because they won't kill me. They are dead anyway.
Yes.
When Moi was still president, he was a member of the Kalenjini tribe.
Yes.
And the Kalenjini, following, I have papers to quote the things I'm quoting. I have the Daily Nation from
Yes.
Kalenjini tribe became one of the major tribes in Kenya, following one of the census. Oh yeah, because he wanted to be,
because Moi was Kalenjin.
Because Moi was Kalenjin. So when the analysts were looking at these figures, they know someone was encouraged to cook these figures to make the Kalenjin tribe one of the major tribes. One of the analysts was saying, for this to have happened in the past 10 years, for the Kalenjin tribe to become a major tribe, every female, including newly born babies, was giving birth every year for that population to come
for 10 years.
For 10 years to come to what was being quoted.
Yeah.
And the fellow who was doing the census that year, who was forced to to publish figures of that nature, he resigned his job. And the Scandinavian countries withheld technical assistance to Kenya because of those fabricated figures. These are real issues. I'm quoting real issues.
Yeah.
I've seen things during my lifetime. So when people take figures for granted, it can be very, 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 dangerous for planning purposes.
No, it's very dangerous.
Yes.
Yes.
There are so many. It's not only Africa. Even in America, things that do happen. We can talk the whole day and we can give you examples. But I don't think that was the purpose of your interview today.
Yes.
But only to say there is a lot to be done. If we are talking about Botswana, there is still a lot to be done with our statistics to make them even better than what I just quoted.
Yeah.
I think the statistics of today, Botswana have a very long way to go. The last census, they had a problem.
That was 2021.
It was supposed to be 2021 because then they postponed it because of COVID.
Yeah.
And I remember I even gave an interview with the ECA, Economic Commission for Africa, say many countries in Africa were having a census during the COVID era. It's a real problem because, counting becomes a very problem when the movement of people is being restricted. When certain variables come into play, when we are doing certain things, you get into trouble. So we don't even know exactly what went on during the census here, Botswana, which was supposed to be in 2021, and then it happened. I think it was 2022 or whatever.
Okay.
I don't want to go into any further details of some of the things I observed. I don't want to be, to raise arguments with whoever will be listening to this interview.
Yes, but it's important to share your opinion. I mean, it's just an opinion. It's not like you are criticizing.
In my opinion, at the time, even before the census was carried out, for all those countries that were carrying out a census during the COVID time, I said they were going to have a very tough time.
But I thought it would be easier with during COVID because if most people are home, they're not moving around.
Yes, but there are other issues. They may not be moving home, but because they postponed, the date, it was no longer the 10-year period. It was now 11 years or 12 years. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So you have to, a lot of manipulating have to be done to do certain projections and all those things. So many things come into play once you start messing around with those dates.
You start messing around with?
The dates or the census.
Oh, yeah.
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 So, like they say, you see, a census, like someone once said, a census is one of the most elaborate exercise in peacetime, because it involves everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although it may not be directly counted, someone is answering questions on your behalf. and all those things.
Mm.
And because it was COVID then, some people, if you were not here, you were in South Africa, and then you can't travel because of COVID. And then what is the how are you going to be accounted for? You see?
Well, in most cases, the census people, when they come to our houses, we are not all
Yeah.
there. Then they ask how many people live here. I mean, if my wife has traveled to South Africa, and I've got 3 kids, I'll tell them, no, it's me, my wife, and 3 kids, even if she's South Africa. Isn't that how it works?
Yes, it is. You ask them, are they here or are they somewhere else? And they say, how,
Yeah.
sometimes, this is what we call temporary migration. Are they likely to come back or not? All those things.
Yeah.
Then we are going to area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they present or are they absent?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I think if there's anything left behind, I will revert back to you, Charumbira.
Yeah. You are most welcome. Statistics is a very, very wide area, and if I'm able to answer anything, I would be glad. But I think today we must have done a bit of justice to whatever.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm happy that I'm still being remembered. I still remember I'm alive.
No, even when you are dead, some of those who know you will still remember you.
That's right.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and actually, for the benefit of those who may be listening, I actually want to put more manuscript of my experiences when I was, particularly when I was a chief statistician of Botswana, because I really, covered a number of issues in my life. At one point, I was actually chairman of the SADC Statistics Committee, trying to coordinate statistical gatherings in the SADC countries.
Yeah.
I also chaired the United Nations Statistical Commission for 2 years in 1999 and the year 2000. I was probably the second African statistician to have that privilege of chairing the world over statistical commission.
Yeah, we are we are really honored that we produced somebody who rose to that level. Yeah.
Thank you very much. In the Statistical Commission of the United Nations.
Yeah.
That is the body that dictates how statistics should be collected the world over. And one thing I may also want to mention, just for the sake of it.
Yes.
In 1992, we were a committee of 15. We've been headed up to redo the United Nations statistical publications.
Yeah.
Rework the United Nations statistical publications. And then I realized I was the only African in that committee. We were 15.
15?
15, yes. We were a committee of 15 to statistical, how to redo the statistical publication of the United Nations. And I asked, how did I end up here being the only African here? I asked those people who had invited me.
Yes.
And they said, no, someone in Addis Ababa at the Economic Commission for Africa said, in Africa, there's one young man there who seems to be the only one trying to come up, as one of the wise men in statistics on the continent. Yeah, something like that. So it's just for the benefit of those who be listening to this interview. Why not? Anyway, I'm no longer in the field, but this is now history.
Yes.
So, things that. So I really enjoyed my time, in the statistical field, and I was one of the most respected on the continent.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Um, um, I have a neighbor here is a young boy.
Who's that?
No, I won't mention the
The
name.
neighbor.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's my neighbor.
Yeah.
He's doing a PhD in biostatistics
Oh my God. Yes.
in Cape Town. Um, he struggled from 2017. He's been, and according to him, there's no PhD biostatistics holder here in this country at that time.
I don't think so. Biostatistics is not a very easy subject.
Yes,
I admire him.
yes.
He's very courageous.
He persevered so much, and he's sponsoring himself in University of Cape Town for his PhD.
He's very. Tell him my best regards. Honestly, he's very. Yeah.
Yes, it would.
Statistics is heavy mathematics.
Yes, yes, heavy,
Yeah.
very heavy.
Very heavy mathematics.
Mm.
I must say.
But now I doubt he'll come back to this country because he had a scholarship at an Ivy League university in the USA, and the university was willing to pay for 2 years, and he needed our government to sponsor him for 2 years, and they refused to sponsor him.
Well, you see, this is the point. You see, when these guys are smart.
Yeah.
In the first world, when they see a smart fellow, they will use him.
Yes.
And they will pay him good money.
Yes.
That's how we lose them anyway.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I wouldn't blame him. And there's money out there anyway.
Plenty of money.
Plenty of money out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, me, Charumbira, it was nice talking to you.
I'm very glad that you remembered me. I'm happy that at least some people will also listen to my ideas. If anybody wants to ask me additional questions, I'll be pleased to answer back.
Yes, I'm sure after publishing our conversation, there'll be a lot of questions coming. So we most likely will have the second leg on this subject.
I don't mind it
Yes.
because I honestly, to tell you the truth, statistics is a very, very interesting subject.
Yes, I was telling my wife earlier that I'm going to be having this interview with you, and she's a.
I don't know if I know your wife actually.
Well, you might not know her, but you might know her parents. So.
Who are the parents?
Well, we'll discuss that on the outside the
Oh,
interview.
on the subject. Oh yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yes, yes,
Off the record, yeah.
yes. And she majors on research also.
Oh, okay.
So she was telling me, yes, statistics and research go on. They're very important. They go hand in
Yeah,
hand.
yes,
Yes,
that's true.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, me.
No,
Thank you
thanks
very
very much.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have a good evening.
Okay, Racharumbir.
Good night.
Good night.